Welcome to the Pool Chasers podcast. I'm your host, Greg Villafana, and today we've got two very special guests. We got Dennis Boyd with Pro Pool Inspectors back with us, and new guest, Charlie Raphael. How you guys doing?
Fantastic. Awesome. Glad to be back.
You're welcome. Why don't you both introduce yourselves? I know you've been on before, Dennis, but why don't you introduce yourself again, and we'll go on Charlie.
I'm Dennis Boyd with Pro Pool Inspectors here in Nashville, Tennessee. We run a professional pool inspection company here in Nashville, do a lot of pool inspections, and we're also the inventors, creators of Pro Pool Inspectors app. And we also are now in partnership with the Watershape University to teach one of the first ever professional pool inspection classes that's offered in the nation. That is a certification class. So we're super excited about that. And that's why we're coming on today. So Charlie, I'll let you take it away from there.
Thanks, Dennis. My name is Charlie Raphael. I am the Director of Certification and Licensure at Watershape University. We are a global leading education provider for pool building, design, engineering, service, and we also have probably the largest and most in-depth certification program for the pool industry. And so we've come together with Pro Pool Inspectors and you, Dennis, to certify this new, I would call it new, service for the pool industry in a time that is much needed. So we're very excited.
Is this the first of its kind? I've never heard of accredited certified pool inspection course. Is this the first one?
Yes, sir. It's many months have gone into the preparation of this work. Not only, I would say years, Greg, as much as we've talked about it on the podcast, but years have gone into the development of just what we've laid out as a protocol, but also with Watershape University and their leadership in the educational realm of the industry. Hooking elbows with them at this time was only paramount to the industry of what this program means to those that are in the pool service industry. Not only that, the pool builders who are looking to share their knowledge with homeowners, especially in the realm of a real estate transaction, which is specifically what this certification involves. It is called the CRWI, the Certified Residential Watershape Inspector Certification. It has.
Dennis, that was very close.
That was good, wasn't it, Charlie?
It was.
We
close.
went back
However,
and forth.
I'm going to jump in really quickly. Just so it's Certified Watershape Residential Inspector. A little bit of transposing, but it is tough. Acronyms are a big hang-up. Thank you.
Hey, we went through 12, I think, didn't we, before we settled on the one we wanted.
It's official when you got all the crazy letters and numbers and all that stuff.
Yeah, we had to shrink it down so people could put it on their wall.
Yeah. Hey, that's very impressive because I know when it comes to education, nobody beats Watershape. It really is the most impressive thing, being accepted into that. Real quick, I just want to talk with you, Charlie, about this. Why is it important, do you think, for anybody to get certified in anything, not just pool inspections?
I appreciate the question. If I could take just a couple seconds. Certification, professional certification is outstanding because it's a personal validation. It's a voluntary validation of one's knowledge, skills, and abilities. So if you think about people that have a doctorate from a fantastic university from 20 years ago, things change a lot in 20 years. When you talk about that learning experience versus professional certification where you are validating against an accepted standard within your field, and then you're continually being asked to maintain your level of professionalism through continuing education, remaining in the industry, and various other kind of stepping stones to maintain the certification. So it's always evolving with you and keeping you at the front of your profession. That's something we view very as to be a differentiator. So if you think about when you go into, and we're going to talk about it, I guess today, obviously, pool inspection versus a home inspector, there's a big difference, and Dennis is going to go into that, and he's just got a fantastic mind for it. But now we're taking that, we're setting a set of rigors to this to validate that knowledge, skills, and ability to take it a step further. So once we'll go into that a little bit more, but when you become certified, you are telling everybody that you are at the top of your profession and you're going to remain there so that if they come to you, you're abiding by a code of ethics and you're going to operate in a specific way. And that gives a little bit of a consumer comfort level.
Yeah, I love that. And I think a big hang up too is the investment that sometimes comes along with taking these classes. But I think it just shows how invested a professional is into their craft. When somebody, it's like a doctor that's gone to a certain school that's known for medicine or something like that. If they went to a certain school, they might work for a better hospital. I know you would know all about that, Dennis, being in that profession. But I just think that people see that differently when they know you've taken the time to invest money and your time.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I might, you think about, Greg, companies that will go to a CPA versus a bookkeeper. A bookkeeper might be just absolutely perfect, but a CPA, they know that this person is certified to be up to all the tax codes. And the thing I'll say repeatedly is the code of ethics. A certification is only as good as its code of ethics. And you just brought up, Greg, that there is I take that back. There is a financial piece to becoming certified, and there's a very big investment of your time and effort to do it. And so in doing that, then you're not going to want to give that up very easily. So that code of ethics becomes that bonding piece to everything.
Not only that, but
your business.
Not only that, but Charlie and I are both proponents of what's happening across the country with municipalities and directors of cities and things like that, city development planners. And we're becoming more and more aware that almost everything that we do in the pool industry, they're watching out for certifications. In the service world, for service guys and gals in different states, how they're having to prove their knowledge level in order to participate in the pool industry, which is only going to keep continuing to grow. So having a certification in pool inspecting is going to be a professional moniker that you can keep with pride, that you're not just somebody that's walking out into the world where swimming pools exist and saying, hey, let me inspect that for you. But you're living and breathing in the world of the pool industry that says, hey, there's a protocol and a way to do this without putting yourself in a liable situation that potentially could harm you, could harm others if you don't know what you're doing or you're not educated toward the protocol of what the industry sees as a normative way of doing things. And of course, we all know the stories we all have seen in the pool industry. Those of us that are walking and talking in the pool industry, we all got those stories of, did you see that pool? Who in the world thought that was a good idea? And then plus, as far as what we're doing with and hooking elbows with the WU, what they do so wonderfully is train individuals on the professionalism of the industry, what it means to be a professional pool service person, a pool builder, a nozzleman, a pool inspector. And these are not just, fly-by-night degrees that are put together. They're put together with a lot of intention. And not only that, but Charlie and I have gone back and forth and said, this class is something I could have taken at college and gotten crediting for it. Like I could have gotten a degree in this. And that's what the pool industry is becoming. It's becoming more and more professional, and having more and more professional certifications on your belt, education. One of my guys even told me the other day, he said, hey, I had a minute at home, so I took this small class online. He said, I know it doesn't mean anything, but I enjoy taking it. I said, look, man, all education matters. It makes you better for having known that or learned from a professional in that area. And not only that, now you have something to compare it to in your area of saying, this person trained this way, and is that what happens in my area? If not, now you become part of that professional conversation of what's going on. So that's what started the conversation with the WU of like, why are we doing this? So hope that makes sense.
Yeah. And it's great that you're with Watershape University, because I think in this day and age, there's a lot of people and companies putting together education and courses, and they're not legitimate. These days, things are super competitive. You can fake the way you look, your marketing, your branding, but at the end of the day, you can't fake the knowledge and what you know. And when you're in that backyard, if you were up against somebody that had a legitimate education, you're going to win every single time. But bypass all that, just do everything. Look good and be smart about it. You just touched on this. I want to go back for a second. What did inspire you to even want to become an accredited program?
We came to this relationship after speaking with Dennis a while ago, and Dennis alluded to how long it's taken for us to get this across the line. We wanted to do it the right way. And right now, the pool industry, from everything you hear, it's in a little state of flux right now. The economy's not going, everywhere. So pool companies are looking at different ways to improve their revenue and new revenue streams. Dennis came to us and enlightened us to this line that we had no awareness of. And we're getting more and more into the service side. And so it really seemed to make a lot of sense. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. There are people out there at Dennis's level that have something that we can review and we look at, we say, yea, verily, this is excellent. And he does a fantastic job. 16 hours of this, build in prereqs, requirements to get into the class, take the class, build a special professional exam. That's what we could bring to the table and let everybody know that, yes, we are in this together. The education has been vetted. It is constantly being updated. It meets all of our criteria for continuing education credits. And now we're going to back it with our certification program that is legally defensible. And it falls right in line with our other portfolio of certifications. So this to us was a natural fit. And it really, I think, it's going to help a lot of people maintain their business and grow their business, and through just being ahead of everybody else in this field and being on that early adoption curve, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. And Greg, that's also key about what Charlie is saying there, that this separates anybody from the guy or gal that just walks in the backyard. It literally does give them a huge chorus of people around them that says, this is the way to do this correctly. And this has been adopted by professionals in the industry who are aware of, let's just talk about codes and things like that, how they get written, all of that information that comes out to be the way that we do things. These are all by standards of professionals who have laid the groundwork all along the way in the process of being better and better throughout the years of our lives. So the fact that we've hooked elbows as guys that are in the pool industry here in Nashville, we're service professionals. We do training based on the industry and let the industry guide and direct our steps in the pool world. We don't just walk out and make things up. We join elbows with the chorus of professionals who have gone before us and said, hey, you want to know what it's like to mess up? Watch what I did back then. Don't do that the way I did it. And now that we're hooked elbows with the WU in a professional manner of saying, hey, as pro pool inspectors, we've noticed that this is an option out there in the world of the pool industry. And when we started talking with the WU and saying, we realize the industry has certifications in certain areas, but there's a gap. There's a huge gap between what is and what is evolving. And so when we made the presentation with them and talked with Charlie and talked with his team, and they talked with us and talked with our team, just in putting together information of saying, hey, this has been vetted by more than just Dennis. It's been vetted by several people. And then talking with Charlie and his team of engineers, and then them able to be able to get behind through the certification, the codes understanding and things like that we teach and train on, that it was right up the same avenue as it was. We were saying similar things. We were saying the same things. We were preaching the same gospel. So we were all in agreement that, yeah, this is a gap filler right here. We feel like that what we're doing as far as a pool inspection for the residential industry, we're hooking elbows with the residential industry, that it became that certification that would take a pool service professional and help them to understand what it meant to be connected to that activity for a real estate transaction. And I think we talked about that the last podcast of what that looks like. And we didn't go into every bit of minutia of what a pool inspection is, but in setting it up for the professional, that's where the WU came in and said, hey, we want to get behind this. This has legs, this has teeth, and it's a professional accolade for the industry. So it goes to more than just walk up in the backyard and go to town and just start looking at stuff and giving somebody a sheet of paper with notes on it. We've gone to a very professional level, and we're encouraging the pool industry, those pool professionals, those pool ladies and gentlemen that are out there that want to be more professional in what they do as pool service professionals. And even the pool builders are starting to take notice of it and say, you know what, I'm getting a little long in the day of being a pool builder, and it's part of my knowledge level. So I want to share that. Or a pool builder that says, I want to add that on as part of my pool building criteria. And getting certified to do a pool inspection is not a bad way to go for everybody involved in the industry. And even outside of our industry, Charlie and I have been going back and forth with his team on who all can sit for this, and specifically pool professionals. But we're even looking outside of the pool industry because we're constantly getting bombarded by home inspectors that are saying, hey, I don't feel like I'm qualified to do a pool inspection, but I'm out here in my area and I'm doing pool inspections. What do I do? And that's when we get into the conversation of, what do you know? How long have you been doing this? What's your background? What kind of training do you have? And I know for a fact in the home inspection world that their training level, or the things they have to do for their 90 credit hour certification as home inspectors, they spend the majority of 2 hours getting water vessel information. So they all feel like they're less informed than they need to be. And now this is coming to a head. So,
all right,
a lot of stuff.
I love that. And if I still had my pool service business, I wouldn't take on a single pool without doing one of these inspections, because it solves so many problems. I think it's a great way to start the relationship. It's extremely professional. They get a detailed report, and, you know, every kind of pointed finger that comes your way, you could always lean on that report, because most of the time they're not going to fix everything. Maybe they'll, but if they care about their investment, because usually they want you to care about their pool more than they do. But this way, it protects you so many different ways, and it can lead to potential repairs or remodels, or just creating, we're trying to create safe pools, safe backyards. So that's just my 2 cents on it. I think it's great.
That's a good 2 cents. You'd be surprised at the students that come to class. One guy recently came to class and he said, wow, this could really help my pool service business. He said, this could really make my pool service business grow. And I'm like, it can. It's a model that just keeps on giving.
It'll help you sleep at night. Yes, it'll definitely, you'll make more money and different things like that. But wouldn't it be nice knowing there is a checklist walking your team through every little thing in that backyard? And then you're going to have that on file in your CRM or wherever you're storing customers' information. I couldn't think of a better peace of mind that you could just go into your database and all of that information is right there at your fingertips. So let's jump into talking about the actual course itself. You want to talk about the actual program and what people can expect?
We currently have the ability for students, and Charlie is greatly working on this, as well as the opportunities for students across the nation to get in on a class at the pool shows. This is where the WU shines a lot. Where we come into play is the smaller classes that are being developed across the nation. We're actually, Charlie and I have been discussing instructors so that we can help students across the country be able to get into a class in their local area, which is a far bigger challenge that we're finding. But we do have some instruction classes. But right now, the student can expect when they get into the class, what they learn about is they're going to learn a lot about a protocol for doing an inspection. And it starts off by beginning to look at the perimeter fencing system around the pool, because that, believe it or not, has a code. It has a code requirement that a student has to know about. And I can't tell you how many times as a pool service professional, before I began to get into pool inspections, I never considered one iota of the fence's quality or capabilities of being a safety barrier. I just knew it was a thing I had to pass through in order to get to clean the pool. So it never mattered to me the content or the bonding of the gate in comparison to how close it was to the pool water, the self-latching mechanism, did it close correctly? that kind of thing. And I can tell you there are probably somebody listening to this right now that go, I've got 50 pools on my route that none of the gates close, that kind of stuff. And that's part of an industry norm when a pool is built. It's an expectation. It's a federal code, things like that. Not only that, it's the city and state code, it's county codes in a lot of areas. But they not only will learn that, but they learn how to look at the pool. One of the guys in the class said, I don't really care how to build a pool. I just want to know how it's built. So we give the student a little bit of information about that. We don't go in and talk about footers and things like that, about bending rebar, about doing rebar inspections. But we do talk about a little bit about concrete. We talk about the surface. We show them how to look at the surface, horizontal and vertical cracking, things like that. We also talk about the codes, like a diving board and a slide. We talk about all the components of the pool, like the pump, the filter, the heater. We do talk to them about the codes in the industry for the heater, bonding, things like that, what to look for, because everything that we do is visual. We don't take anything apart. We don't go in and start x-raying concrete to see if the rebar is deep enough. We don't do anything like that. We just help people to stay within kind of an area of using their expertise as pool service professionals. We don't try to make them pool builders. That's not the intent of this class. The WU has other classes for that, and we highly recommend all of those classes. They only make you better at looking at the environment. And it's funny, me and one of my other inspectors on my team here were talking last night, and we said it, as we get more and more informed and the industry changes more and more, we're realizing that we're longer at every inspection. We're going out to the pool, and it's more than just, and once again, no offense, but I was talking to a home inspector buddy of mine who does pool inspections, and I said, just comparing apples to apples, what do you do at a pool inspection? And he said, I just go out and look to see if water's in the pool, and then I walk over to the pump equipment pad, and I look to see if the pump equipment's there. Pump equipment is there. And I said, and? He said, that's it. I said,
hired.
I said, no wonder you're getting $100. I said, if you don't mind me saying so, that's not an inspection. That's a pool observation. You're observing that the pool is there, and what we're doing is so much more. And he said, what do you do? And I said, we're looking at the fencing. He said, nope, don't do that. I said, we're looking at the surface to see if the vinyl liner or the plaster or the fiberglass is intact. He goes, no, don't do that. I said, we're looking at the decking to see if there's any tripping or fall hazards, stuff like that. We're looking to see if the joint between the coping and the decking has a flexible joint to it. He said, nope, don't do that. And so we just went on and on. I said, we consider there to be a big difference between pool inspection and what you as a home inspector would do. But by trade, we as pool professionals don't consider ourselves home inspectors. So if you said, hey, Dennis, what do you do for a home inspection? I would say I'd probably look to see if it had doors and windows and the structure was still standing. Does that make me a home inspector? And he would say, nope. And I would say, can you train me to be a home inspector in a day or a couple of hours? He would say, nope, can't do that. And so we're bringing students in and trying to help them to be professional pool inspectors. And we take a 2-day training class, and we spend 8 hours both days grilling them. And you do a hands-on inspection. We actually do a hands-on inspection if you come to our live class. In our remote class, we do a clinical simulation. Howard and I are teaching a class this week, and we're actually using pictures on the wall during class to let the student see if they can pick out the bad situations that are at the pool. And so we're helping the student to be able to look at the pool the way that it should be looked at based on the industry standards. And to a certain point, we don't, like I said earlier, we're not trying to make the student a pool builder, but that information is very handy sometimes in the knowledge level of a person who does walk onto the job site. If they have that underlying knowledge, that just makes them even more a viable pool inspector that's in the field when they know those criteria of how, geotechnical is done, things like that. But we're moving toward the service professional being in the backyard and looking at the pool, and the pool builder if they wind up on the pool site and want to do an inspection. That's what we're doing. We're trying to help them with a protocol from the perimeter fencing all the way to the end of just the pool pole and the dip net to see if those things are broken. And we teach all the things in between. I don't know if that answered the question, but there's no way I could be on this podcast and say, these are all the things we go through in 2 days. We just don't have enough time, but come to the class and find out,
Yeah. I love that. And I was thinking about my company and how there was a lot of guys that had been doing it even for a couple years, and they wanted more responsibility. They wanted to do more. And I know there's people listening that probably have people on their team that they're probably going to quit or go somewhere else where there's more opportunity. And I think this is a great way to send people on your team to get education. And I feel like there's a lot of people in our business that they want that. They want to learn more. They want to take on more responsibility. They want to feel like they're part of a trade, because you get told that. But sometimes if you're just cleaning a pool and you don't have a lot of training, you feel like you're maybe doing a summer job. But to actually go and have somebody invest in you and your education and to bring that back home, I think that's super valuable. I think there's just a lot of winning you can do with this.
Mm-hmm. And if I could just jump in really quickly, Greg, when we were going through the class, I had 2 service professionals review the class, go through the whole thing. And these are 4th and 5th generation service professionals. They're very seasoned, and they knew a bunch of it. We did our review with Dennis. I was surprised, but pleasantly surprised to hear that each one of them had picked up new things. Oh, I wasn't sure about looking at that. I didn't know how to look at this. And the great thing is I do a lot of vetting of education for Watershape, obviously, but watching Dennis kind of get that knowledge across everybody, he does it in a way that someone I don't think is going to feel like, oh, this is way over my head. This is too much. And at the same time, someone that comes in as a seasoned professional is going to come in and really feel comfortable and get right in the groove and still pick up some stuff, which really shows, I think, that the education has some real breadth and depth to it. And it's delivered in a good way.
I totally agree.
That wasn't nerve-wracking that day at all to train the Watershape University professionals, the executive team. No pressure at all. But it was great to know that even in the industry, some of the questions were, where did you get that information? It's in our training guides. This wasn't like the Dennis Boyd just pulled out of the blue some protocol that didn't already exist. It did. It was just all over the place. And what we tried to do is we tried to make a package for the industry that would say, how do we answer the questions that are being asked of us, and how do we do it based on our industry standards? And that's what we did. And the WU saw that and said, hey, that's exactly what we have done. We have the similar concept of the professionals who are in the backyard.
I'm not getting paid to say this, but I bought their basic construction course last year or something like that. And I'm constantly going back through it. I think those are just some of the smartest people I've ever heard talk. A lot of it's mostly Dave Peterson, but man, it's not because I wanted to build pools. I just wanted to understand more about this. Yeah. And more so, right. I'm a marketer first and foremost, and I will say this, when I first saw that inspection that you let me look over, my marketing brain turned on right away, because I was like, man, if your team knows all these things, that is such good content, and you can feel confident that you are speaking about, we are fixing this gate because the regulation says XYZ, because That's so right. many times you maybe want to film something or you want to take a photo of something or share something. And I do feel like people hold back a little bit on that because they're not sure if they didn't do something by code. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And like, I don't know if we did that right. I don't want to get a bunch of shit for it. Homeowner doesn't know. So let's just keep it off social. But I like that inspection. It just makes you sharper.
Yeah. And we do a lot of codes. In class, we have students that'll walk away from the class saying, wow, I didn't realize, how many codes I wasn't aware of. But we make it reachable. We spend a lot of behind the scene times contacting the ICC and the codes writers and the NEC and saying, what did you mean by this? They're normal people like us who are doing their industry things. They're walking in their world and they're trying to put these things together and also to cover their rear ends as an organization for any kind of litigious activity that might happen. But in writing, sometimes the reader And I've had this happen a couple of times in the industry, whereas the pool industry crosses over to the electrical world and the NEC codes writers and the things that they've written. Sometimes the reader of the code can misinterpret the pool industry, but they've written in the NEC a specific code section for the pool industry in the area of the 680 code. And so they've just gone through there and dealt directly with the pool industry, which makes the students so much more take a breath of fresh air and go, thank you, Lord, that I don't have to know all the electrical codes that exist in the world. And I can just concentrate on certain things, even certain aspects of code 680 that just deal with the pool industry and the things that I'm looking at. And we bring that down to a level and say, hey, students, right here, GFCI breakers, this is part of our industry. Just know it when you look at a panel. Don't feel like you have to be a certified electrician and know how to read amps and ohms. We're not doing that. We're not teaching that. As a matter of fact, we teach in our class, if you take out a bag of tools to the job site, you're probably doing the wrong thing. If you go out there with screwdrivers and pliers and like you're a service guy. But we will say the things that we train, whenever you're done, you as a service professional, you'll never go through the gate again the same way at every pool. You will, from day one, you get out of your truck, you'll walk toward the pool. And especially if it's a new pool, your brain is now wired and geared to have knowledge that says, hey, that ain't right. That's not correct.
I feel like if you just listen to this podcast, you're not looking at gates the same. I feel like we've talked about these gates so many times. Like, I don't even look at gates the same. I totally understand. Because if it's the gate, it's got to be a million other things, because it gets a lot more complicated after the gate.
And as you do more, it's harder and harder to turn it off.
Right.
You just go, that light doesn't look bright enough.
I'm conscious about it. You might not remember every little thing, but you might see something like, I feel like I've heard something about that. That doesn't look right or whatever.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly what we teach. And that's what happens in the class. The students seem to have an eye opener, whether it be, oh, I learned something new about a code, or I learned something new about myself, or I learned something new that'll propel my business forward, whatever the case. You'll always walk away with hopefully more than just a nugget. You'll walk away with many nuggets. Yeah.
What you got, Charlie? You going to say something?
Nope. I like listening to it. I learn every day. I really do.
He's getting all the free press.
You keep chatting and I'll keep nodding and learning. So go.
Love it.
Yeah.
So can you tell us about, what does the schedule look like in person, remote? Like, how can people sign up for this? Give us the details of how people can make this happen.
Well, we are doing a debut of this class at MPG, Master Pool Guild, and that's in October coming up in San Antonio. So that's going to be our debut of the partnership.
Wow, nice.
So we're very excited about that. Dennis will be out there with Howard Boys. And then we are right now in the process of inserting it into different shows. Obviously, there's an approval process, timing, so we're going to try and have it in as many shows as we can. We're looking at the Atlantic City Pool and Spa show, possibly Everything Under the Sun down in Florida. Those are both in 2025. And we're just going to keep going wherever we can, because it's really catching fire right now. So, and the other thing I would say very quickly is that one of the big things is that it's in person with Dennis and Howard Weiss, but we also do it virtually in person, which has been very well received. And then the other thing we are working on is having it on demand. Much like I believe the course that you referenced, Greg, if you took it online on demand, it opens you up to a whole different audience, people that are way too busy. They can do it on their own time. They can view it, can go in that direction. And then we have the online exam that can be scheduled any day or time to be as flexible as possible. And then Dennis, you can go into your whole, how many times we can do this.
Yeah,
and is the course always the same, or is there like different programs, or is this just one 2-day 8-hour class, right?
It depends on if you take it in person. If you take it remote, has the inability to be really hands-on-y. So we do a clinical simulation at the end. The material is the same, both classes. The price is the same, both classes, no matter where you take it. But if you come to one of our in-person classes, right now we have one in Nashville, we have one in Daytona Beach, Florida, both great locations, whether you're a beach person or country music lover. I love the mountains area of Tennessee. But they learn a hands-on, and we do different things. We're doing the classing that you go through the first 2 days. And the second day, the first half of the second day, we finish up all the course material, and then we break for lunch. And then after we come back for lunch, we actually do a hands-on inspection, or we go through a system of house of horrors kind of thing, pool of horrors, where we'll put pictures around the room and we'll split the group up. We run into probably an issue not a problem, it's a class size where you have proxemics that are challenging. When you got the shows and you got 50 people in a room, you can't spend that one-on-one time. So if you come to one of the smaller classes, like the hands-on class, the in-person class, those are smaller classes. If you come to the show, we're probably not going to do a hands-on pool inspection because everybody getting around the pool with their app or our app or their app, and they're trying to use our expertise and say, hey, am I doing this right? We've realized and we've noticed that people just begin to do their own thing and it gets to be chaos. Try to curb those times with being in the room and doing the pool of horrors type of training, clinical simulation. And that's what that's about. But the material's the same no matter where you go to take it. The testing is the same. The WU is offering the testing whenever you take a class, whether it be remote or in person. When we're done with the class, they are then sent a link. They have to go through an inspection in order to get an assessment evaluation from us. So we grade them on their ability to do that inspection or that clinical simulation or pool of horrors, whatever you want to call it. And once they're done, that earns them their CEUs, that we are able to go to the WU and say, yes, this student showed that through the assessment of the learning outcomes that they met all the standards. And then we send them a link so that they can go on the WU's website and take the certification exam. And once they're done with the exam, the WU sends them back a memo. Hey, congratulations, thumb up, you passed. Sorry, you didn't pass. You get another chance though. And that's how that works. And we have had several people that have already taken that exam. So we have certified inspectors that are existing right now. What's going to be more evolving in the industry is people are going to say, hey, I want to get in on this too. You probably should jump on it because the person that's the certified inspector in their area is probably going to see a massive uptick in their phone calls and their social media content and whatever they're doing to market themselves. It's going to be all coming their way because there is a push for the real estate industry to move towards certified professionals in the area of expertise where they need them. The real estate industry has passed many things recently that requires the agents to be hooking elbows with more and more professionals.
And when they get through this course, do they get like a certificate? They get like credits? How does all that work?
We have prerequisites to take the course, and we want to make sure that the professional has about 2 years of pool experience. And if they don't have that, we have a list of some classes that they can take or could have taken, and they don't necessarily fall within Watershape exclusively. I don't want anybody to think that this is all geared towards some sort of cash grab or something. It's more about making sure that the people that come into our classrooms, Dennis's classrooms, have a basic foundation to build upon. So they take the course. As Dennis pointed out, they'll go through some sort of a lab, if you want to call it that, to make sure that they are retaining that knowledge and they can demonstrate that they can get through it in a professional manner. And then from there, they will go through the application process, which comes into me. It's very short and sweet. You get a certificate of completion from Dennis and the instructors. It's good for 16 credit hours CEUs, so they can use that in any industry because they are ISN accredited. And then they'll take our professional exam. And it's developed by Pool Pros with WU. And it's all done online. If they get a 75 or better, then they will pass. They'll get a certificate. It's good for 3 years. And then they'll renew in 3 years if they desire to.
Nice. Yeah. And sorry if this is a dumb question, but I ask a lot of dumb questions. But the credits, do you get to choose if they go to the individual or the business? Say, because I can see a lot of businesses sending their team or one or two people to the training. Like, who gets these credits?
It is all individual. Professional certification, you have organizational and you have individual. This is an individual certification. And
Got it.
It lives with that individual.
Goes
they
with
get
it.
the credit hours, they get the certifications. That's a conversation we have a lot with organizations. And thankfully, there's a lot of organizations that believe heavily in promoting from within and making their people bigger, better, faster. And there's some small-minded organizations saying, no, we don't want to give them that certification because they're going to leave and they're going to take it with them. And that's just, I don't know how you could be successful with that.
If they do that, they're going to leave anyway.
Exactly. Yeah, it does travel with the person that is individual.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is there any additional benefits? Obviously, you own Pro Pool Inspectors, the app. Do people is there any perks with that?
We will give you a tool to do pool inspections by using the app. It's free. It's a 1 month free by taking the class. It comes with your fee that you pay for in joining the class. But it is a subscription-based plan, meaning that after a month, if you don't want it, you don't have to continue to pay for it. It's not mandatory to have your certification. Certification is completely different. If you want to bring another app to class that you already own and want to use that during the class, bring it. That's what it's for. That's what we do. We're trying to help you be a better professional in your world where you are doing pool inspections so that you can have a better business model and you can grow your pool company in the area of revenue stream, which is what we're all trying to do. We're all trying to grow ourselves more educationally and be more productive in where we are societally, business-wise, all those things professionally. So you do get an app in the class. It is an app that we have designed. It is one of the apps that we use during the hands-on training, just simply because we feel like if you go out and have this tool, you should know how to use the tool. And so it's very simple to use, but we go through a hands-on process. And if somebody has an app that they bring to the class, we say, yeah, let's do that too. Let's go through that. How do you use that to the best of your ability? And they show us some features, and we just spend time with the student at the class.
When we came together with this partnership, Dave Peterson and Bill Drakely, the founders of Watershape, were adamant that we're an education-based business. We want people to get the best education, be able to go out and do whatever that skill is to the best of their ability. Dennis's class it's about understanding every aspect of doing a pool inspection and doing it the right way. And his app is incredible because it brings it to life too. And to what he was trying to say was, I would tell anybody that you'll know how to do this and you could do it on your own. But when you see what the app produces at the end, it brings all of that knowledge and all of that visibility, what you're looking for, checking off to life, and very professional. So that's my solid for you, Dennis. Without a doubt, the tool is fantastic. But the class is not about just a tool. It's about doing the whole service. But I think it's a great tool. It's incredible.
Where can people find more information?
I think we have links all over the place for Pro Pool Inspectors on Watershape. The class is listed under events. The certification is listed under certifications on watershape.org. So we try to make it as easy as possible to find. And we have Watershape's magazine, which puts this out to a huge audience. I'm grateful to have this opportunity to get on Pool Chasers and talk about it and get it out to more and more people.
Yeah.
To bring this full cycle back. And you asked certification why and how, and this is going to be big. I really think it's big as far as a whole new service avenue. I really do think it's going to be big. And so people ask all the time, I don't need to be certified. I could do them. I do them all day long. When people start getting on your block and in your area and they're all doing it, how are you going to raise yourself above? Word of mouth is great, but you got to be certified, or you should be certified. It's going to be good. We're really excited.
Yeah, that's something that you can really be proud of. I'm not just saying that. It's like the cliche, people going to Harvard or Yale or something like that, knowing that you're in the same sort of curriculum and taught by the same people building these insane pools and all these other things. Like that is a really cool thing to be in that circle.
Yeah. And for us over here at Pro Pool Inspectors, just hooking the elbows with the WU. When I started going to the trade shows and the WU started popping up, it didn't take long for everybody in the industry to say, man, you see what the WU is doing? Wow, they got these classes. This is great. I took this, and my mentors that I learned a lot from, that I value their opinion on, were always telling me, hey, man, you need to go sit for this class at the WU. They've got really, Dave Peterson is teaching this, or Bill Drakeley's teaching that on concrete, and they've got a webinar here and a webinar there that you can jump into for free, and all that kind of stuff that's available just searching around. But if you want to know about propoolinspectors.com is our website. We've got the WU connected there, so you can get both of us on either or's website. And depends on if you want to take the class at a trade show, that's going to be something you want to hook elbows with Charlie on, because Charlie is helping those folks get into the trade shows. If you plan on just being at a trade show and you want to separate a class there, if you want to do a personal training or a small class training, you'll go on propoolinspectors.com. That's ORS, not ERS. Spell it right or you'll never find us. Propool Inspectors has got a training clickable icon there, and it'll list the in-person, the remote training. And Charlie said soon to come is going to be an on-demand training with the folks that can just grab that anywhere. But it's eventually, Charlie, I would say 2025, it's probably going to be everywhere that we're going to be with this training. Right now, we're still in the new phases of getting our scheduling out there. We tried to get most of the trade shows, but of course, trade shows have closed their training doors months in advance before our contract between us and the WU, when we hooked partnerships with them. It was a little late in the day for the training shows that were coming up. So we look forward to that. What's coming up 2024 still, but everywhere it's going to be, you can find it on the WU's website or Propool Inspectors website. And we're just looking forward to getting more and more classes across the country. So you have to come into Nashville or Daytona Beach or catch us at one of the trade shows. So that's where we are.
Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate you. It's stuff like this that makes me really proud to be in this industry, because it feels there was a long time where things didn't happen. And this is just really cool. And I hope people get the opportunity to do the course at one of the trade shows or one of the other ways to do it. But I appreciate you guys. All the things that you discussed, all the links will be in the show notes where people can easily access it. And thank you.
This is great. Pool Chaser's doing a great thing. Great.
Yeah.
Keep it up.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Yeah. Good to be with you again, Greg.